My name is Steve Carey. I run a small firm of accountants called Numbers UK Ltd. Oh, good. Somebody's saying more broadcasts like this are needed. That's wonderful. Thank you for that. I shall endeavour to do them daily. So today's business tip is the obvious one when you begin anything. Comes from one of my favourite books, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey. If you haven't read it, you should. But before you do that, listen up, because we're going to start with, actually, it's habit number 2. Begin with the end in mind. If you start any project, any plan, any business, begin with the end in mind. So many of us, it's true to say, forget the reason that we've set up in business. So what I would do, other people call it a mission statement or a vision statement, but actually I think you can make it more personal than that. A business should serve its owner, not the other way round, and so many business owners end up working for their business and the business becomes the boss, rather than maintaining that original idea, which was to create a business to deliver something that they want in life. Business tip number 2 is actually the first habit from the book that I mentioned yesterday, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Dr. Stephen Covey. Be proactive. Take control. Make a decision to change if you don't like what you're doing. Make a decision to keep on doing what you're doing and keep ahead of your competitors if you do like what you're doing. Our core offering is an 8-step process which helps you get to where you want to be. Making lives better for us can sometimes mean sitting down with clients and just asking them what better looks like, because it would be easy to make a boast about being able to triple your turnover or quadruple your profits or expand your business, but if that's really not what you want to do, then we're not making your life better, we're actually imposing our will on your business, and that may not be right. But unless you decide to make a change, your business will continue to run you. Build strategic alliances. Thanks for joining us, Riley25, and all those who have already joined us. I'm going to cover the business tip in 2 sections really. Why would you want to build strategic alliances? And first off, what they are, because they mean different things to different people. Now, a strategic alliance is, and I quote, a long-term business relationship to generate additional work by the referring backwards and forwards of those partners' clients. That's a real mouthful, isn't it? And I'm quoting that from a blog I've written before. But in summary terms, a strategic alliance is just a long-term relationship with someone that you trust, who's going to look after your clients and treat them the way that you want them treated. For us, a classic example in the accountancy world would be to develop a strategic alliance with a financial advisor. Now, why would you want to spend the time researching the market, getting to know the person that you want to build that alliance with, when it would seem to be a bit of a waste of time, at least initially? For example, a property landlord and estate agent, yeah, that would be good, Riley25. It could be that kind of strategic alliance. The reason, I would say, for building a strategic alliance is to be able to cover those areas of service that your clients would expect that you wouldn't necessarily have the expertise to do. In my case, as an accountancy practice, we are not authorised to give investment advice, so it makes sense for me to develop a working relationship with a firm of financial advisors, or maybe 2 or 3 firms of financial advisors. And they can give advice on pensions and life insurance and source mortgages for my clients, which I couldn't do. Yeah, again, good one there, good suggestion. Web development and design agency. Many web development agencies have designers in-house, but we've got a very successful working relationship in our business network between a graphic designer and a web development agency. You can also add to that strategic alliance a copywriter. So, first reason for developing a strategic alliance: your strategic partner can cover what you can't, or it would take you longer to do. Second reason for the business tip. Why do you create a strategic alliance? Well, you can keep things in-house. You have to recognise that if our clients go and source their own information and advisors, those themselves may well have strategic alliances with other professionals and other competitors in our marketplace. There is a risk that if they get talking to the other firm of accountants, they hit it off with them on a personal level, or the other firm of accountant decides to undercut us or starts to undermine the advice that we've given. If we maintain that strategic alliance properly, you have a non-compete clause in there or an exclusivity. So for example, any financial advisor that refers clients into us, when that client has a need for financial advice, the referral always goes back to the source. So you protect your own client bank. And probably the least important factor in developing a strategic alliance would be the possibility of introducer commission. You shouldn't really be entering a strategic alliance just for the commissions, because that will tend to push you in the direction of those who pay the highest commission, and that isn't always the best place for your clients. So 3 good reasons for doing that. So how do you go about finding strategic partners? Well, I know I'm on social media, and I know there are a huge number of ways of linking in or hanging out with people, but the only real way that I've found is to put them to the test. Maybe trust them with your own services first, check out their ethos, review their website, make sure that what they say is what they do, get an idea over a cup of coffee, and speak to the advisor to see what their ethos is. Yes, Riley25, I do have LinkedIn. Search for me, Stephen Carey of Plymouth, and you should find me, and our company Numbers UK Ltd is a company you can follow. The first stage is always to work out what it is you want your clients to receive from you that you can't deliver yourself. Value yourself properly. Now that may sound a little bit psychobabble, but there is a really good reason why you should value yourself properly, and some dangers to avoid, because most of us don't value ourselves properly. Somebody once said, and I can't remember who it was, if you don't value yourself properly, nobody else will. 3 good reasons for valuing yourself properly. 1, it can give you great self-esteem. There's a huge number of influences in our lives that will make us feel bad about ourselves. With Photoshop, with celebrities who can afford to spend all day, every day in the gym, there are a huge number of images that are frankly unrealistic portrayed in our daily lives, and it's very easy for us to get down and disheartened if we don't measure up to what we consider to be the perfect specimen of the human race. Truth of the matter is, we are all individuals, none of us are perfect, and those of us that come across as perfect have probably had a little bit of help from Photoshop or something like that. Why is that relevant to business, you'll be asking? Well, if you don't value yourself properly, you are likely to undercharge. The danger is, because we do what we do day in, day out, we get familiar with it. We know with some of our stuff how speech marks easy, close speech marks it is, and when we get familiar with it, sometimes that can breed contempt. Now you might say, undercharge? Well, that's okay, because clients will be delighted. Yeah, they will, if you don't make the mistake of quoting too low a price and then try and cut corners in delivering the service that you've quoted for, or the product that you've quoted for. The other risk, of course, is that you think you're so good that you overcharge for your services, and that can have a negative impact in the marketplace as well. Because the one thing that travels faster than good news, as most of you know, is bad news. And if you are seen as a person who deliberately overcharges and rips people off, that message will get out there. So you can avoid overcharging, which sends probably the wrong message to the marketplace, and you can avoid undercharging, which can cause you stress and strain in trying to deliver a proper service or a proper product when your budget and your time is limited. Valuing yourself properly also means that you can deliver your quotes, your pitches, your estimates with honesty and integrity. And most consumers are now far more sophisticated than we used to be, even say 40 years ago, and we shop much more carefully. Certainly in the UK we've had 5 years of austerity and 7 years of recession, and so people aren't quite as free with their money as they used to be. So they will go for people they trust. If you deliver your pitches in line with your values, including your own self-worth valuation, then you are going to come across with integrity. That is worth a lot when making a decision on where to spend your money. That's great, thank you for that. There's an example from one viewer. Earlier in my career I didn't value myself properly and was often lowballed with my salary. Again, who suffers for that? You do, your family does. There are certain things that you'll have to cut back on. Okay, right, so how do you go about valuing yourself properly? One of the best ways to work out your own value, and I say this with caution because everybody has an agenda, is to ask others. So that really brings us to the end of the business tip part of the broadcast. If you have any other questions, put them up now and I will try and answer them.
Okay, Emil says, I'm planning pharmacy. What's the best way to do that?
Right, well that, Emil, will very much depend on what you want to achieve. So we're going to have a conversation about what you want to achieve, because you'll need to look at structure, funding. If it's an existing business, you're going to need to look at due diligence, which means going through the contracts of employment of the staff that are already there. If it's a leasehold building, you want to know how long is left on the lease, whether or not you've got any repairs that are going to crop up early on. So there's a huge range of issues to go through. If you want to drop us an email with a rough outline of the deal, we can guide you accordingly. Take care, guys, and create a great business.